Hey guys, this is Darren from Magico Constructions, just bringing you another quick video. This time I just wanted to cover some of the common mistakes that homeowners make on their DA process or development applications. We've actually witnessed this happen quite a few times. One of the most common mistakes that homeowners make is that they decide to choose an architect based on what is the architect that's the most common or popular for that particular council region. Now, of course, there are some merits in this approach. Usually you would want to pick an architect that is familiar with your area, but I would definitely caution, word of advice is not to pick an architect that has too many DA applications submitted for that particular council. That may seem counterintuitive, but just hear me out. The reason for that, sometimes they could be very, very busy because they are dealing with multiple projects going on at the same time in that particular area or that particular council area. The other reason is that there are some architects that specializes in obtaining DA approvals, but they might not necessarily be the best architect that's equipped to do the construction documentation. And for those of you that don't know what the difference is, basically when you submit and you're preparing the package for your DA application, it's a different set of requirements, a different set of skills that the architect needs in terms of preparing that versus your construction documentation, which is when they really have to get into the nitty-gritty of the construction methodology. When you get into that process of doing the construction documentation stage, you'll need to produce things like your concrete set-out plans. All of the drawings needs to be dimensioned. There will be construction methodology in terms of construction details between how the slab and the walls interconnect, how does different types of walls join. So for example, you might have a double brick wall joining up to a single skin brick, or maybe a double brick wall touching a single skin or a brick stud, for example. So not all architects really want to do the construction documentation part of the project. So some architects are excellent and amazing at getting you DA approvals, but understand that that architect might not necessarily either be well equipped to do the construction documentation, or they've, quite simply are not interested to even want to touch that, because all they're focusing on is looking at the DA part, getting projects, doing the design concept, submitting to council, getting you that approval, and as far as they're concerned, that's their part. They're done with it. You're better off finding another architect to really do the contract admin as well as the construction documentation. So that is one of the most common mistakes I see people making. The other thing is very, very important to keep in mind is before you submit your DA application, have a look at what you are declaring and what kind of information you're providing to council. So typically your external finishes schedule, you'll need to prepare that and submit that to council for approval. Once that is locked in and you do obtain that DA approval, it is very difficult for you to then come back to council and change the material. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible, it's doable, but you will need to submit a section 4.55 or section 96, depending on what you want to call it, to really change that. So you'll need to modify an approved application, basically. So before you submit your DA application form, sit down with the architect, sit down with the builder as well, ideally, so you get some idea of what the project's going to cost. Carefully go through the scope, the materials. We've seen this happen many times whereby the material specified is really expensive. So that could be things like either that's a zinc or copper roofing, or certain instances whereby they're using some kind of really expensive timber cladding, and that's already been approved. So if you've already been approved to do that, you can't then expect the builder to give you a cost-effective solution to help you save on cost. So that's something I really want to emphasize for everyone, to not make these common mistakes that I see people making. And I hope you found that to be helpful. So let me know if you found that to be helpful, if you've got any other advice for other people. But until next week, that's it for now. Thanks.